So y'all remember that one Flash fan game I talked about at the beginning of this year? Nope, not that one. Yep, there it is. At the time, I didn't really think it was anything all that special. All you were able to do was run around some random city by the water as the Flash, while Crackhead Flash here followed you around just sort of being a pest. But like I said at the time, I thought the game had potential, and I was curious to see where its developer, Libby Studio, was going to take the game from there. Then, as many of you noticed, both the game's Game Jolt page and Libby's channel suddenly went down out of nowhere. At the time, I thought he was doing that thing a lot of people do and just gave up on the game and wanted it scrubbed from the internet, so I didn't really feel like doing a follow-up talking about it. But it turns out I was way off. Apparently Libby was actually a scam artist and was trying to use his Flash fan game to scam people out of their PayPal money or something, and after he got confronted about it by this YouTuber NerdVision, who was working on the game at the time, he dipped and nobody's heard from him since. Honestly, I heard the story a while ago, so I'm still not entirely sure how Libby was trying to connect all these different pieces to get some quick cash.
So many twists, I can't even follow.
But either way, NerdVision took over the operation after Libby took off, and he's apparently been getting a bunch of really cool features added to the game since I dropped off covering it, to the point where the current version almost looks like a completely different game. As far as the character selection goes, now you have the option of playing as other characters instead of just the Flash, like Supergirl, Savitar, Reverse Flash in both his normal and Earth X costumes, Black Flash, Jay Garrick, and Kid Flash. And as cool as that roster is already, NerdVision told me he's trying to add even more characters over time, including Vibe, Black Lightning, Accelerated Man, who will apparently have a decent sized role in the game's story, which I'll talk about in a little bit, Black Manta, pretty much every big DC character out there. The idea is to kind of replicate the feeling of the Lego Marvel series, in the sense that you can play as and team up with virtually every character you'd ever want to play as, and that sounds so fucking awesome. Even the time rates are supposed to show up at some point, but they're only supposed to be NPCs. You can't actually fly around messing with speedsters in the time stream. Yeah, I know it's a little disappointing, but to be fair, their planned role in the game does sound pretty cool. NerdVision claims they'll act a lot like the Wanted level system in GTA, where they'll start to show up and mess with you whenever you travel through time too much, and if you keep messing with the time stream after that, you'll have to eventually deal with the Black Flash, who I guess gives you the Reverse Flash treatment if he catches you. Wouldn't that be awesome? Seriously, think about all the different game types and mechanics you could center around this. Like maybe you could have a game mode where you're supposed to time travel to different places in history and, I don't know, set up like research outposts, or maybe gather resources for a Speed Force experiment or something like that. And the whole time you have to try to stay a step ahead of the time rates. Or maybe you could do like what I said in one of my videos about Teko's game and have somebody playing as Black Flash chase down a bunch of other players running around as speedsters. I mean, there's tons of possibilities here, and I'm super excited to see where NerdVision and the development team take the roster in the future. Moving on, NerdVision also told me a little bit about some of the game's major features. Of course, he's retained the increasing Mach speed abilities from the old version, but there's also a working day to night scale, an actual city with traffic and citizens getting tossed into the mix, a combat system being worked on, and even Gideon's being added in, with a couple different functions, like listening to music, which I guess takes the place of the Quicksilver knockoff button from the last version I looked at.
If I could save time in a bottle.
There's also going to be a hero meter thrown in at some point, which should sound pretty straightforward. You know, you do good deeds like saving people or stopping crime, you get good points, but if you commit crimes and try to kill people, you get bad points. It sounds like it's going to be a lot like the hero meter intended for the canceled Flash game, if that helps you visualize it. On top of that, there's plenty of places to explore already, including Star Labs, Jitters, the CCPD, the Wave Rider, the Speed Force, which will change colors depending on whatever character you're playing as. Even the multiverse is going to be explorable a little bit, since you'll be able to travel to Earth 19 at some point. Speaking of, I'm assuming you'll be able to travel to more places as the game moves further along in its development cycle. Like for instance, I'm assuming you'll be able to travel to Earth 2, 3, and 38, since Black Flash, Jay Garrick, and Supergirl are in the game right now, but who knows? We'll see what happens as the game moves forward. Really the biggest thing to me though is that there's actually going to be a story mode for the game, where your gameplay and choices lead to different branches in the plot. So for example, if you're playing as Barry Allen and you decide to go to the particle accelerator like in The Flash, you can play later stages of the game as the fastest man alive, but if you don't decide to go for whatever reason, then you could just be Barry Allen, a constantly late but otherwise normal CSI. Now I'm not gonna lie, this sounds pretty cool, but I am a little bit skeptical about how something like this is gonna work. On the one hand, I'm glad at least one of the Flash games floating around out there is planned to have an actual story mode. I think it allows for a lot of creativity and it could be really cool for a player to explore if it's done well. But on the other hand, I'm just not entirely sure how the team's gonna be able to pull off something like this. Maybe it's just because I haven't kept up with the game's older updates, I haven't been part of their Discord until somewhat recently, but I don't know how the development team can give you non-superpowered stages to play without making things too boring for certain characters. It's one thing if you're somebody like like say Oliver Queen, who doesn't have powers and kicks ass anyway, but it's an entirely different thing when you're playing as just some random guy. I guess they could give you a what if type story where a powerless Barry gets wrapped up with a reverse Flash anyway and he has to get creative in order to take him down, but like I said earlier, it's all still in the planning stages. Either way, everything I've seen out of the most recent update sounds awesome. Seriously, major props to NerdVision and one of his major programmers, Ventin, whatever, for being able to pull all this off. It's miles ahead of Livy's initial rough concept. There's plenty to do already with more stuff to be included later on down the line, and the best part is it's available to download right now. Well, kind of. Apparently you have to actually say some stuff on Discord to get the download link right now, but once the full game's out, which should be around December of this year, January of next year, NerdVision's going to release the link for everybody, regardless of whether or not you're on Discord. Now there is a Mac version in development, and supposedly it's going to be available sometime soonish. NerdVision told me a couple weeks ago that a Mac version should be out in a few weeks, so since it's not out yet, I have no idea when that's happening. Thankfully though, NerdVision did tell me that he doesn't intend on stopping work on the game when the full version's out. He does want to keep rolling out new updates, new characters, all that good stuff, as long as DC keeps pumping out new episodes for their superhero shows. Now, if you're willing and able to help him make any of this stuff, then you should definitely reach out to him, either on his YouTube channel or on Discord. Both of those links are in the description. You can pretty much offer any services you want, but NerdVision told me he's specifically looking for programmers, modelers, and voice actors to fill the available roles. All of which are open, by the way, except for Savitar. I'm happy to say I got that part.
None of you are on your knees. It's a smart move to bow before a deity.
You're not God.
To be a god, you just have to make people believe you are.
But anyways guys, that's almost everything I've learned about the newest updates in NerdVision's Flash fan game. There's a bunch of other stuff I didn't get a chance to talk about here because I didn't want to make like a super long video, but if you liked what all you got to see in this video, and you maybe want to keep up with a more constant stream of updates, then definitely check out the game's Discord and NerdVision's channel here on YouTube. And if you want to see me do a playthrough of the game once it gets further into development, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, then go ahead and click that like button, and if you're new, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button too. I've also got links to my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and Patreon in the description. You should probably check those out too. And if you want to see more of my content, then you can click the link to my last video. It's right there in the middle of your screen. Alright, and I will see you all next time.